and welcome to the 4:30 edition of the Seth and Sean Sports Radio Show. Here I am Sean Palmer. That's Seth Kamens over there. And so today, first, let's call it spade a spade. I am second in my pool for the first time.
Congratulations.
And I have a pathway to win it for the first time ever.
Oh my!
So I have Purdue winning. Everybody else in the top 10 has UConn winning. So
that's good.
So basically, if Purdue wins, I win. If Alabama had lost to Grand Canyon, I would have had an easier path because the guy who's in second place has Alabama beating North Carolina. And I have North Carolina beating.
But he has UConn.
He has UConn. So I just need, and that's assuming one of the two wins, right? If both of them got knocked out, Alabama losing to Grand Canyon would have certainly helped my cause. But
sure.
For the first time in I don't remember how long, I am actually have a chance of winning a pool. And of course, this is the year I only put $10 in and really don't give a rat's ass who wins. But before we go on to the new NFL rules and we have our Major League Baseball preview, and granted, we're doing all this in an hour, what are your thoughts on the weekend, the basketball weekend? Because I got some myself. So what are your thoughts?
It was fun.
Yeah.
It wasn't great basketball, I don't think, but it was fun. I mean, other than UConn, UConn looked good. Gonzaga looked really good. Purdue looked really good. But it's the same problem that we've talked about is name 10 players left in the tournament. No.
But so take away, you're rooting for the name on the front, not the name on the back, right? Let's presume that you root for the name on the front, not the name on the back. I don't care who anybody is. It's like going to a high school game and watching basketball. It was enjoyable basketball.
Yes, it was.
It wasn't great. It wasn't great fundamental basketball. In fact, watching the women's tournament was better fundamental basketball.
Oh, yeah, much better fundamental. You watched some of that too, didn't you?
I did. But watching the men's game was fun to watch. And watching Alabama Grand Canyon was a lot of fun to watch because that reminded me very much of any game that the Sacramento Kings play. It's just up and down and up and down.
I like how you've taken my place on the Sacramento Kings.
Well, because they're on TV every night at 10 o'clock. They were on last night. They were on the night before. I mean, if there's a 10 o'clock game, chances are it's either the Lakers or the Kings. And as I said earlier on in the year, I said I was going to watch a lot more NBA this year.
Right, but you said you were going to watch a lot more NBA because you wanted to see as much of LeBron as you could.
I stay up at 10 o'clock to watch whatever game's on at 10 o'clock. And most of the time it is the Lakers or Fakers, as Mark Rubin likes to say. But to me...
He's a Celtics fan. Can you really
Celtics fan. But watching the Kings, let's give... And before we move on, let's give props where props are due. Devontae Sabonis is a lot of fun. They're a fun team to watch. They are a fun... They like I said, Alabama reminded me very much of them. Up and down, athletic team, has some really good shooting. Maybe not the best inside presence, but you don't need an inside presence, especially not in college basketball. I mean, unless you're playing North Carolina State with that guy. And I don't know.
He's like watching Oliver Miller.
Oh, I was going to go Glenn Big Baby Davis.
Baby Davis? Yeah.
Oliver Miller is a very good pull, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, or John Hot Rod Williams, like any of these guys that are 6'8" and just big. You can't get them off that spot, and if they're on that spot, it's a bucket, right? All the time. But he showed some range. I mean, the North Carolina State guy showed some range.
I will say the most fun team I've seen so far, although they're gone now. The two Oakland games were fun.
Yes. Oh yeah. Well, and you and I have said this before. Seniors and smaller teams, smaller schools are going to do well because they have continuity, right? and that's the way that's going to roll. But I liked the NCAA basketball this week. Maybe because I didn't know anybody, Seth. I wasn't looking at.
You also didn't have a real rooting interest.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. I was looking at the team on the front, not the players on the back. I am not looking for who's going to improve the Knicks, because guess what? Nobody in this tournament is improving the Knicks next year. Nobody.
Sure.
Right? Nobody in this tournament is improving anybody next year, because who are the guys that are going to do that?
They're either in G League or they're overseas.
Or Donovan Clingan will be a backup center for somebody.
Right. And the guy Simmons from Colorado. Yeah, there's a few. Isaiah Collier from USC. They didn't even make the tournament. But there's nothing of real. There's no heavyweight in this one.
There's no Keegan Murray. There's no stepping in starter. And so you watch the tournament for what it is, and it's been a good show of basketball. Yale making it as far as winning a game was great. I love that. Unfortunately, they did not win 2, as I had them winning 2 in my tournament. But 1 is enough. And look, it's been enjoyable. And again, the first tournament I really couldn't care less about is the one that I watched the most, which maybe there's something to be said. And congratulations to the Syracuse women who covered the spread last night. The spread was 20.5 against.
They played well.
They played well. They were in it until the last minute.
Yep.
And Aisha Fair, well done. Well done.
I don't know who that is. I'll be honest. I'm not up on my Syracuse.
Dude, she's the third leading scorer of all time in the NCAA women's game.
And she plays for Syracuse?
Grad assistant. Grad school, 5th year.
Okay.
Well, when you have the COVID year, everything is the most.
No, I get it. I just didn't realize.
Right, exactly. Because it's not a dominant, and she's also the shortest one on the court. She is Tiny Archibald. So, okay. So, aside from the baseball, which starts tomorrow, which we'll give our picks, and granted, we're not going to get too far into it. We have a couple of other things, and Lord knows the NFL, there are some changes that needed to be made.
Yeah, this is a lot.
But in 1 week, there have been – I hate to be the guy that says, get off my lawn, but my God, can you please just let the game go? Like, why do we make all these changes every single year? It's more and more changes. And if you want to make the changes for safety purposes, I get it. But – holy hell. All right, so let's start with the first one. Coaches can make a third replay challenge if either of the 2 are successful. I'm okay with that.
That's fine. I got no problem with that.
But what I'd like is a cap on the amount of time that the review takes place. Because if you're going to put another long extended break in these games, then at least cap the amount of time. Put a Jeopardy clock there. Like, I'm good with that. The other thing is, well, I don't know if you saw this a couple of weeks ago when the Lakers, I think it was the Lakers and the Golden State Warriors, where the time clock malfunctioned like 5 times in the last minute.
Yep.
It took 20 minutes. I actually watched that game, and I'm sitting there going, this is like an NFL 2-minute warning right here. Like, just wherever. All right. The offense can now be assessed a penalty for a major foul on which the offense throws an interception or loses a fumble, even if the foul took place before the change of possession and the defense also committed a foul on the play. That's a long-winded way of saying offsetting penalties now suck.
Yeah.
Okay. Replay can now be over, and this is one of the ones that I'm not great on. Replay can now be used to do 2 things. Overturn a ruling that the quarterback was down or out of bounds before throwing the pass, and whether the game clock expired before the ball was snapped. I don't mind the second one.
The second one I don't have a problem with, because the
second one should be a buzzer. It should be
that's objective. That's not
right.
subjective.
The first one, I'm kind of like the quarterback was down or out of bounds before throwing a pass. I kind of thought it already applied, but maybe not. All right, hip drop tackles are banned. Okay.
I mean, we've been talking about this. I don't really know what that means.
Well, here's the thing that bothers me. Good luck trying to figure this out during the game. I mean, that's where I have a problem is how are you going to determine what a hip drop tackle is during a game? Hard enough, a hip drop tackle is basically a hip check in you hit him with the hip as opposed to hitting him with your arm. And I get the horse collar, right? You got to put your hand all the way down, pull out the thing. That is pretty blatant and obvious what a horse collar tackle is. I'm not really sure if it's blatant and obvious what a hip cast tackle is anymore. So good luck with that. Okay, well, and now the big one. Ladies and gentlemen, when we kick off the NFL season, good luck trying to figure that shit out because that ain't going to happen. So modeled after the XFL, which no longer exists, and the UFL, which no longer uses this rule, even though they combine the XFL into the UFL. This is how it works. 10 players on the kicking team and 9 players on the receiving team will line up 5 yards apart from each other, like a scrum in rugby. They will not be able to begin running until the ball gets to the back returner, so the 2 guys, meaning that players will not be going full speed. Of the 22 players on the field, only the kicker and 1 or 2 of the kick returners will be lined up separately from from those players. The kicker will kick on his own 35. Okay? 25 yards ahead of him will be 10 players. So that guy's going to look like he's on a desert island. The receiving team will line up on their own 35, remember 5 yards apart.
Yep.
The kick must land between the 20 and the goal line. A kick that either goes out of bounds or lands short of the 20 will be awarded at the 40-yard line. A kick that goes to the back of the end zone for a touchback will go to the 30-yard line. Okay, you got all that?
Somewhat.
So it can either go – so let's see this. So you have a kick returner that breaks through the wall, right? Because it's only one wall. It's not a staggered wall anymore. It's one wall. So normally when you hand off the ball to Derrick Henry, and Derrick Henry gets through, I don't know, Aaron Donald, right? Gets through the first level, right? There's a second and a third level there to stop him. Yeah, that's not going to happen anymore. It's 10 guys on a line. You get through that first level, Seth, and bye-bye.
Yeah.
I mean, unless 5 guys come forward, right, like a pass rush.
Yeah, I almost wonder if they're going to do like a delay where you have 5 people go at one time and then 5 people go like 2 seconds later.
Or 5 people just stay there. So you set it up like normal defense, right? So 5 people will advance or try and advance because this guy's on the other side, right, to tackle. So you set up in layers, right? You got the kicker and then 10 guys. So you may go 4, 3, and 3, right? 3 guys may drop back, 4 guys. But do you see this as any other way than I see this as the Stanford band? Right? I'm leading the posse. Everybody follow me, right? And you got 9 guys in a wedge. Like this may be the flying V of football. But the one guy back there and everybody else just goes like this.
Yeah, it's going to be really – I mean, look, I have no idea. I didn't like it when we were talking about it yesterday. I didn't like it, and I haven't really given it much thought since. But we have no choice but to see where it – just like anything else. We give it a year. Mm-hmm. And, like, I get the point that the people are not going to have as much momentum, so the hits aren't going to be as hard, so the severity of the injuries will be limited. That's the point of this.
Well, the
Correct.
goal is the goal is 2 points. Number one, severe injuries will be limited. Obviously, more plays means more injuries, right? More twisted ankles, more broken fingers, more I don't know, torn ACLs, but
Right.
not head injuries, right? No, you're not getting a 35-yard running start to slam into somebody. So the head injuries will likely go down. From what I read, in the NFL last year, over 70% of all kickoffs were touchbacks. That's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of wasted plays, right? So your team or the opposing team would score the touchdown, and you just go to the bathroom because you knew it was a touchdown. I'm going to take this time to use the restroom and go. In the XFL last year, and granted, it's a lower quality of play, but it's still an equal quality of play.
Yes.
Play. Over 85% of all kickoffs were returned. That's dramatic. That puts the play back into the fold.
Yes, it does.
Team against the play. That means coaches are going to have to. Cordell Patterson surprisingly was signed yesterday by the.
Well, I don't think it's surprising because now kickoff returners have a much.
That was sarcasm. That was incredible amounts of sarcasm.
Sorry, your sarcasm is not always the easiest thing.
Yeah, fair enough. But he gets signed the day that this comes out, right? Yeah. Because Cordell Patterson is a bull in a china shop. He is a guy with speed that's also 6'2" and 200 pounds. So he's going to be one of those guys. I think you're going to see a lot of passes back and forth. You're going to have two guys.
You mean like the Frank Wycheck passes?
Why would you not? Why would you not? If the guy, remember, you can't move until the ball is caught. So the first guy catches, you can have two returners back. So you catch it on the left and everybody goes left. You don't think somebody's going to throw it right? Like, that just makes sense. Unless you have a.
You've been giving this a lot of. Are you trying to get a job as an assistant special teams guy?
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't care. I'm like, this is chaos, and I'm in for it because if the NFL wants this to happen and they want more scoring, this is a way to get more scoring. Unfortunately, I have listened to several podcasts, and I believe this to be true. There is going to be an unintended consequence here. We are going to have more kick returns for touchdowns this year than every year in history. And I know that goes along with more kick returns means more returns.
Of course.
If you got a guy like Cordell Patterson that breaks through that line, you know the kicker ain't stopping him in an open field. He's the only guy there.
He's massive.
No, but I'm saying the kicker's the only guy there. He's not weaving back and forth.
I get it.
That line. So anyway, I'm not a huge proponent of this. I will look at it very funny the first time I see a kickoff because the kicker's going to be on his island alone, right? 25 yards between him and the next person. All right. So some of the approved bylaws. Teams now have unlimited designated for return transactions in the postseason. So if you were on the IR during the regular season, you were only allowed 3 guys to come back from the IR in the postseason. Now it's much like the NHL. Let's bring them all back and screw the cap because what's the difference? All right. The trade deadline is now moved from week 8 to week 9. I applaud this.
I think that makes sense.
I applaud you extended the season, move the trade deadline. That only makes sense. Okay. A club may designate a maximum of 2 players for return when they are placed on the injury reserve on the final roster cutdown day. So you used to not be able to have anybody return on the roster cutdown day. So if you had to cut them and then re-sign them the day after.
Right, because they have to go through waivers first.
Now you can place them on IR and have 2 guys return during the year. So you don't have any of that mechanism crap. Okay, teams may elevate a bona fide quarterback in unlimited times from the practice squad. Yay. So now Zach Wilson will be on the practice squad.
Because the one thing you need him to do is practice.
And the emergency third quarterback can be on the practice squad. So he doesn't count towards the roster. Good. I like that. It's one more linebacker that we'll have on our team. Or safety or something else. Maybe they'll carry 2 kickers now. By the way, unintended consequences of all these rules. Number 1, the squib kick no longer exists. Right? Because if it at the end of a half.
Yes, it doesn't work.
Right. At the end of a half, it doesn't work. Right? You want to run out the time. That doesn't work anymore. The onside kick is now limited to twice, and you must declare it. And it can only be done in the fourth quarter, and only if you are behind.
Hate that.
Yeah. So that's gone. The pooch kick is gone.
Yeah.
Because people can't move until you catch the ball, so it doesn't matter how high you kick it. Right?
Yep.
The way I saw, there was no good way to deal with this unless you wanted to outlaw the kick.
Yeah, they're literally ripping the Band-Aid, and we're going to see what the consequence is this year. And then
I think they went from one extreme very much to the other extreme, right? Because you had 70% or kickoffs, and now I think you're going to have 70% actual fielding. I wonder how many teams will just bang it through the end zone and say, I'll take it at the 30 instead of dealing with this. And I will tell you, if you get 50-50 on that, then this didn't work at all.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree.
So you're going to see week 1 or week 2, how many of those people go through that first line, how many kickoff returns for touchdowns we have. And then you're going to see special teams coaches say to Justin Tucker, I'll take it at the 30. I don't want this risk. Just kick it. Like, kick it as far as you can. And then what will eventually happen is they'll move back the kick again. So instead of from the 35, you'll kick from the 25. Like, this is just it's going to be changing till we get the theory right. Okay. All right. Well, now that we've gone through all that, and we talk about fantasy football, we talk about the NCAA tournaments all year. Let's talk about the unintended consequences of betting on sports this week. Do you want to go NFL, NHL, or MLB? Because it's all going to happen.
Well, I guess we start with the big one is the MLB.
Wait. So let's understand. First, we started with the NHL, right? Shane Pinto was suspended for 40 games.
I actually didn't know that.
That happened in the summer.
Who the hell is Shane Pinto? Who the hell is Shane Pinto?
He was a forward for the Ottawa Senators, and he is a forward for the Ottawa Senators. Suspended 40 games for undisclosed reasons related to gambling. So it never came out what he did. Okay. Then we have Jameson Williams, right, and the NFL players.
That was last year, wasn't it?
Right. I'm sorry. Jameson Williams happened before Pinto.
Okay. That Jameson Williams was last year. Going to go Calvin Ridley too? I mean,
yes. I'm going to say so we have Calvin Ridley, we have Jameson Williams and his group, right? Then we have Shane Pinto. So that's 2 sports. Now we have Shohei Ohtani. That's 3 sports. And now we have Johann Porter, right? Michael Porter Jr.'s
Johnny Porter from the Raptors. Yeah.
Johnny Porter. So now we have all 4 major sports have had problems. And that doesn't even get into Tim Donaghy, which happened 10 years ago, which I don't know how Adam Silver and David Stern kept that under wraps, but that should have been a much bigger story than it ever was, because who knows what really went on with that. Credit to whoever PR the NBA had, because that could have ended the league.
Yeah.
So Here we are now. All 4 sports have a gambling problem, and all 4 sports look like hypocritical nonsense because they're all in bed with it, right? All of them. And if you want to convince me that Shohei Ohtani covered the gambling debt for his $300,000 a year employee and covered $4.5 million, and then I'm sorry. No, he stole it. He didn't cover it.
It was stolen from him. Yes.
It was stolen from him. The guy that basically helped him every day, basically walked with him every single day, basically was his shadow every single day for the last 7 years. If you want to convince me that that guy had enough time on his schedule to make all these bets and steal money, yeah. Do you buy it? Do you buy it at all?
I don't know. I really don't.
Do you care?
Not real. I mean, you have to care because it's Ohtani. You have to care. Whenever there's a bet on your own sport, I believe you have to care. Because it maims the integrity of the sport. I have no problem with Calvin Ridley betting on baseball. But I do have a problem with Calvin Ridley betting on football, regardless of it's whether on the Falcons or not.
Yeah,
or definitely was on the Falcons.
Yep.
Same idea. Anyone who has inside information about a sport that they're involved in should not have the ability to bet. Period.
Agreed.
Do I know if do you think he's taking a hit pretty much so Ohtani can walk away on this?
Oh yeah.
I mean, it makes sense.
Seth, let me ask you this. All right. $4.5 million.
It's a lot of money.
What bookie, and you and I don't know very many, but let's call it common sense. What bank, which has a lot, I would think has less stringent than a bookie generally, or what loan shark is taking $4.5 million in bets from a guy that makes $300,000?
Fair.
That's where I come down. I want to go.
If you are a bookie and are watching,
you're the world's worst bookie of all time. If you're doing that,
please feel free to come on. It's like the good old days when I would give out the number on the phone, a number on our. If you want to date Sean, call him. Call in the number.
But here's the other thing, right? So, and here's the thing that gets me. So Ohtani says, and granted, look, ladies and gentlemen, we don't know any more than what we read, right? We don't know any more than what we listen to. And I listened to Ohtani's press conference. I read the transcript, and he was asked a very, very specific question. Who did you report the theft to?
Nobody. Yeah.
And he didn't answer that question. So as an interested party, I kind of go, huh? As a lawyer, I go, guilty. I mean, if you can't answer that question, you said you reported him somewhere for theft. This is a fact, right, guys? Where'd you report it? It's that simple. If you can't answer that question, chances are you didn't report him anywhere. And if that's the case, then not playing you, buddy. Because Seth, I love you, bro. But if you stole $4.5 million from me,
you wouldn't love me that much.
You're going to jail. Like, it's just that simple. You're going to jail. So I mean, look, the John A. Porters are $10,000 here, $10,000 there. We're talking about nothing, except that's a little bit more inside. I listened to a betting expert today. So, did you know that every single NBA, if you go to Vegas, you can get a prop bet on any player in the NBA?
I did not know that until I read about Johnny Porter.
Any player. I could get a prop bet on the two-way contract guy on the Houston Rockets. I mean, the under is going to be a lot better than the over. The under is going to be a lot worse than the over, sure. Right? But you could get a prop bet on, I don't know, Udonis Haslem last year playing 6 minutes in any particular game. You could get that prop bet. And normally what happens is people bet on those players because they are degenerate gamblers. Yes. Or they have a stake in that game, right? And they generally look at it as a parlay, right? So you can make a lot of money if some guy doesn't get over 5 minutes, over 5 points, over 5 rebounds, over 2 assists.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't play more than 3 minutes, chances are he's not getting any of those, and you can parlay it all. There were bets up to $10,000 on him.
Yep. When he had a magical eye injury 3 minutes in.
Now, the betting expert said, could this be explained? It could. It could. Somebody realized he had an eye injury 4 games before and thought that he wasn't going to get the under. That's okay. Saw him in the parking lot and he was rubbing his eye, right? I mean, it could be explained. And there are instances in which the casinos get crushed. And he brought up this incident a couple of years ago when Klay Thompson came back. And the Warriors announced that Draymond Green would be playing the opening tip, and that's it, and come out. Just because of Klay Thompson was returning, he wanted to be part of the return. So he would do the opening tip and then sit out the rest of the game. And gamblers heard this before the casinos, and they went nuts, right? Because you're going to bet every under around the world, right, that he's going to play because he's only getting the tip. And they lost millions of dollars that day. They just weren't smart enough. Gamblers are smart. Some gamblers are smart.
I was going to say, yeah.
Some gamblers are smart. I am not a smart gambler. I am not. That's why I don't gamble. So anyway, yeah, I think, look, you reap what you sow. Every single one of these leagues got in bed with gambling. In fact, it's like 10 years since Adam Silver's op-ed thing about gambling needs to come into the NBA. Ironically, 10 years ago. And here we have the first real gambling problem. And this is not going to be the last one.
Oh, no. But the bigger issue is when it's not a journeyman 8th man or 7th man. It's when it's someone of the real name stature. That's what I'm curious to see what the ramifications
are. Oh, you mean like Shea Ohtani?
Yes.
I mean,
which is why it's being pushed under the
proverbial rug. Okay, so we're halfway through.
Baseball time.
Baseball time. I did have my baseball fantasy league draft, both of them last week on Sunday. I realized that I know less about baseball than I have in probably 30 years. But I do know who I need. And so we're going to go through these divisions. I don't know how much research you have done. I don't know how much you know, but we'll go through the divisions. We'll point out some players that you might want to keep an eye on and some storylines that will go forward, and we'll make our predictions. Okay. I will head first, the American League East. So the American League East.
Okay.
By the
Whoever
way,
thought it would be run by Baltimore?
Well, when somebody said Peter Angelos was going to sell the team, everybody thought it would be run by Baltimore. So, I mean, and unfortunately, condolences out to the Angelos family. Peter Angelos passed away this week. But the fact is, look, that team has the best pitcher in the division. They have the best young talent in that division by far, not even close. Young talent. Okay, they don't have the best 2 players. The best 2 players reside on the Yankees still, in Aaron Judge and Juan Soto. But other than that, they have it all. And so that team and Tampa Bay, 1 and 2 in that division.
I agree.
With Garrett Cole on the sidelines,
it's a free-for-all.
Yankee staff is led by Carlos Rondon. And that
he makes the salary of an ace. That's about as good as I got.
Carlos Rondon should be the absolute buyer beware syndrome.
It's like the Mike Hampton contract, where
Hampton stayed healthy. That's the difference.
He just became bad.
He went to Colorado. Who pitches well in Colorado? I mean,
when was the last time you ever thought that you would see you'd see the AL East where the bottom 2 teams are most likely the Yankees and the Red Sox?
By the way, I'd like to point out Mike Hampton went for the schools. He didn't go for the money. That's what he said. He went for the schools, the school district, because there are no private schools in New York that compared to the school.
Well, he couldn't afford them.
He's
right. $120 million contract.
Right, exactly. And look, I don't remember the last time Boston and the Yankees were the last two teams might have been in the 1980s.
I mean, the Red Sox were good in the 80s, unless you're talking like 83 before Clemens came in.
I'm looking at it now. The last time the Yankees finished in last place.
93.
What was the last time the Yankees and Red Sox finished last? Last and second to last. No. You want to guess? Take a guess.
Well, I said in the early 90s, but you said no. So it's got to be, say, the early 80s? 70s? 60s?
1966 was the last. So it's only happened twice. 1966 and 1925. The last time the Yankees have finished in last place only 4 times ever. And that is 1908, 1912, 1966, and 1990. That's an impressive stat.
They're an impressive franchise.
The Mets did that 4 times in the first 4 years. So, I mean, that's,
you're led by Marvelous Marv.
Yeah, well, look, the Yankees have some hitting. They have absolutely no pitching. None.
Nope.
And when you look at what the Yankees, you and I believe this is like a broken record every year. It's old talent and no young talent, and it's old and overpaid talent.
Yep.
And every time they get rid of some guy, you think that they're coming down and they'll supplement with younger talent. And you got the Anthony Volpes, right? You got those guys that you hope make that leap. But unfortunately, they never do in a Yankee uniform.
No, we have not seen, other than Judge, every Yankee talent over the last 5 to 7 years, Andahar, Gio Urshela, Torres. I know he got traded when he was like 23.
And he's
all
back.
Of these, Clint Frazier, all these guys, Gary Sanchez, no improvement, none. They never get better.
By the way, the funny thing is, you said Aaron Judge in the last 5 or 6 years. Aaron Judge is not in his 9th year. So you haven't had homegrown talent. You haven't had a homegrown talent in a decade.
That is
in
amazing.
A decade. Right. Okay. Toronto, I think, fits squarely in 3rd with the possibility of coming up, depending on how Vladdy plays and how Bo Bichette plays.
Can't be worse than he was last year, I assume.
And more importantly, how George Springer bounces back and Justin Turner is filling. Justin Turner, who seems to play for every team, is now was in Boston last year and now is in Toronto as their DH, first base, third base extraordinaire. Okay, the Central Division. You know I want to root for Kansas City. You know I want Kansas City to win this division.
Yeah, I have them number 2.
I have even a hard time with them number 2. Look, I have Minnesota as number 1. And again, this is the division I love to watch, right? Because this is the division that is outspent by everybody.
And nobody cares. And nobody cares about.
Nobody cares about except the teams in the division. And truth be told, I believe that the fans of this division are actually better than most because they have nothing else to root for.
Yeah. I mean, look, you have Minnesota, who I think is probably the definitive favorite.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And then you have this kind of mishmash of Kansas City, Detroit, and Cleveland.
You see, I don't think Detroit's in that boat.
But they have some young talent. Do you think they're a year away from being relevant?
Yeah, if not more. Their young talent has been injured.
Well, Torkelson, I know, has been. Riley Green has been.
Well, their whole pitching staff has been injured with Casey Mize. And, I mean, they have a problem pitching-wise. And if that's the case, they're not going to win. This team doesn't win without pitching. I mean, their top 2 pitchers are Kent Maeda and John Flaherty, 2 guys that are not known
John Flaherty or Jack Flaherty?
Jack Flaherty, excuse me, who are not known for keeping healthy. And then they have 2 guys that are coming back in Casey Mize and Tariq Skubal, who are very good pitchers. But again, who knows? So, I mean, and there's the highest paid player is Javier Baez, who can't hit the ball. So yeah, I thank God the Mets did not re-sign him. That would have been another disaster. But yes, I think you're right. It's Minnesota, Kansas City, Detroit, Cleveland, Detroit, Chicago, and maybe this is just me with bias with Kansas City. Like I don't root for the Chiefs. I always root for the Royals. Except
even when they beat you in the even when they beat no lingering resentment towards beating you in the series about a decade ago.
No, because I like what they keep doing with his rap. They're like Minnesota in the fact that they are going for it. They're not just hiding.
They spent the money on Bobby Witt Jr.
They spent the money on everybody. I mean, between their pitching, they got pitching. They got Seth Lugo. They got Michael Waka. And granted, these are guys that 5 years ago would have been a lot better. But they're not they invested in Will Smith, not the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and not the catcher that just signed a $140 million contract today. The pitcher, Will Smith. And they still got, everybody loves a Salvador Perez. I mean, everybody loves Salvi. So it's a matter of whether they have this team. I would say you look at them and go, do they have enough hitting behind the pitching that they have? Bobby Witt Jr. is going to be an MVP candidate at some point. He's 23 years old. He will be an MVP. And they wrapped him up for 12 years, which that's a long time. I mean, it's just
the last small market team to wrap someone up of that magnitude was Minnesota with Mauer.
And it worked.
I mean, it worked for the first 7 of the 10 years in the last.
No, it worked. When you have a guy, Seth, at that point by year, all these contracts,
I get it.
All these contracts are diminishing returns in the last 3 years of the contract. Doesn't matter. You're signing them for today, and you're paying for it tomorrow. So, and Joe Mauer goes into the Hall of Fame as a Twin. That is a win for Minnesota. 100%.
I agree.
You hope Bobby Witt does the same. And you look at the Twins, speaking of those Twins have great pitching. They have decent hitting. I won't say they probably have the best pitcher in the division in Pablo Lopez. They have the best closer in the division in Jared Duran. They have some good hitting. I wouldn't say great hitting. Some good hitting with Royce Lewis, and hopefully Carlos Correa can be, my God, please come back. Like, you're one of the most exciting players in all of baseball.
Yeah, but he did not earn his contract last year.
No. And also, if there's one thing that I want from baseball this year, I want a healthy year of Byron Buxton. Please.
When was the last time he was healthy?
Well, that's my problem, right?
I know, I get it.
So Byron Buxton has played. Byron Buxton is an MVP candidate if he can stay on the field. He has had one year over 100 games in his 8-year career. He has played once in over 100 games, and and in the COVID year is his best year. 61 games, 32 RBIs, 19 home runs, batted .306. With an OPS of 1.005, with a WAR of 4.5 in 61 games. That's the guy you want, right? That's the guy you hope you can get. Who knows if that guy is even still there? All right, moving on to the West. Houston and Texas and Seattle.
It's a 3-team race. Yep.
I mean, look, I pray that Mike Trout makes the playoffs. I pray constantly that Mike Trout makes the playoffs. And I think that's all it is. It's just prayers.
Look, he chose to resign.
I get it. Seth, I get it. But first of all, definitely not his fault, right?
No, of course not.
Every signing that this team makes fails.
Yes.
And you can go back to C.J. Wilson, Joe Hamilton, Albert Pujols, Josh Hamilton.
Joe Hamilton was the quarterback from Georgia Tech.
Anthony Rendon.
The only player who makes $300 million and talks about how much he can't stay on baseball.
Right. He's not the guy that should be saying, oh, please, can we make the season smaller? Because, Mr. Rendon, if you'd like to make the season smaller, would you like to make a little less? Because then that makes sense. But until you say that, no, thank you. Yeah, this team has. By the way, this team is starting Aaron Hicks. That should just be enough.
Yeah. Pause me a quick second.
Yes, sir. So moving on to if you look at the Rangers are in a prime spot. They need to get to midseason. If this team gets to midseason, they're going to make a run. And I know that they are the World Series champs, but they will absolutely make a run if they make it to midseason, because their top two pitchers, and I hate to say it, I kind of shakes my gourd. Their top two pitchers will be coming back around midseason.
You talking about Texas?
Max Scherzer and Jacob deGrom.
Fond memories for you.
Sure, let's roll with that. Fond memories. Jacob deGrom wins a World Series ring without ever pitching a game. I love it. But if this team could be in it at the All-Star game, if they are not out of it by, say, the end of July, they're going to be the one with Scherzer and deGrom. They will, 100%.
Yeah. And you look at that team with Garcia and with Seager and Simeon. I mean, they are stacked.
They are stacked. They are just like they were last year, and they got Evan Carter, a newbie 21-year-old rookie who came out during, and Josh Young, who came out during the World Series last year. They're gonna make a run for a repeat.
But I just don't think I don't know if their pitching can hold. That's all.
Well, it depends if they can get to half season, right? I mean, if they're 10 games
out. What if Evaldi? I mean, look, Evaldi's never been known as a bastion of consistency.
That's right. That's right.
And if he gets hurt, they have nobody else there.
Yep.
As far as I know.
Yep. Look, the Mariners are a good story. Would like to see them. They are the typical average team, right? They are the Toronto Blue Jays of this division. They could make a run. They also have one of the most exciting players in all of baseball, in Julio Rodriguez. We'll see. And then you have the Oakland Athletics, which are very much like their stadium, a piece of shit. So,
well articulated.
Moving to Vegas, maybe. Maybe at some point, maybe. And they're going to move to the Tropicana site, which is like anybody that's gone to the Tropicana site, you can walk from one side to the other in 3 minutes. So I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work.
Good luck on that.
Yep. Okay, National League East. My Mets are not in this.
They're not in this they're not a favorite,
I am taking,
you don't even think they have a hope.
So last year I picked them to go to the World Series.
I remember.
And they blew it. And they did exactly what they should have been doing and gotten rid of their
They blew it up.
They blew it up. And only Steve Cohen could blow it up, right? Because they absorbed, I think, $30 million in salary. By the way, I hope Justin Verlander does not pitch if he pitches 140 games, then
that would be a lot of games, buddy.
Sorry, if he pitches 140 innings for the Astros, he has a option that will be picked up, and the Mets would have to pay him $17 million the next year. So and right now he's starting the season on the DL or the IL as they now call it. So for me, for the love of God, please pitch less than that. Please. But we'll see. Okay, moving back to
I assume you think this is a 2-team race?
I think it's a 1-team race. I think Atlanta
you don't think Philly?
I think Atlanta's going to look. I love Atlanta's pitching.
Do you love them after? I mean, look, they got Strider, Fried. Who else do they have?
Chris Sale.
When was the last time Sale was healthy? When Byron Buxton was?
No, Sale's been. Look, all Sale has to do is be a number 3. He doesn't need to be a number 1.
I understand that. And look, Sale's a sensational pitcher, but he hasn't been healthy in years.
Agreed.
Charlie Morton is older than we are. Are they going to?
But Charlie Morton pitches a lot. First of all, Charlie Morton's only 40, and he He pitches a lot better than either you or me.
I don't disagree.
Right?
Charlie
Morton last year, hold on. Charlie Morton last year pitched 163 innings. That's a good amount. All he's got to do is pitch 140, and that's what they need.
Look, I think they're the best team. They're the second best team in baseball.
Oh, no, I think they are the best team in baseball. I think top to bottom, the Atlanta Braves is the best team in baseball. And
they're set up for the next 5 years.
And as the theory goes, Sean lives in the city and the team wins the championship, and it's never his team.
Well, maybe Sean shouldn't live in the city anymore.
That's already happened once in Atlanta, and I think it will happen again in Atlanta. So the Phillies are number 2. The Mets and Marlins are number 3, and then
the Nationals are threatening Oakland for the worst team in baseball.
I was going to say the Nationals play in a better stadium, but they're still a shitty team. Okay. In the Central is very much like, the other Central, except they have the Cubs who spend money.
They did.
The Cubs, to me, don't win this division. I think the Reds.
I go with the Reds. Here.
I was going with the Reds. I want to root for the Reds. I really want Joey Votto back on this team to root for the Reds. But nope, he's a Blue Jay now. So, yeah, Joey Votto's on the Blue Jays. So I will go Reds. I'm going to go Reds, Cubs. Reds, Cubs, Cardinals, Pirates.
You could put any team at the top of this division.
I'm putting the Brewers at the bottom.
You think between Burns leaving, Counsell leaving, this is going to be the massive fallout?
Woodward leaving. I think they're going to have a fire sale. But watch out for Jackson Chourio. Yes, Chourio, who just signed a 10-year deal as an 18-year-old.
Yeah, he was their first-round pick. He was the first pick or second pick a while ago.
He's going to be something. And then in the West, and we got 8 minutes. So the West, Dodgers first, because the Dodgers are always going to be first. The Giants go number 2, Diamondbacks 3, Padres number 4, and Colorado in the Oakland Athletics spot of being a shitty team. This is like –
Does this constitute the Diamondbacks being just a fluky run last year?
No, I think they may get in the wild card here. I mean, by the way,
the Dodgers are a machine.
By the way, every single time I say that, I feel like this is the movie Major League with the Indians. They're still shitty. Like, this is okay. So, in the American League, okay, I got the Baltimore and Tampa are definitely in the playoffs.
Agreed.
Minnesota wins that division.
Agreed. And
Houston wins that division. I got 2 more wild cards. I will go with Texas and with Seattle.
I'm taking, unfortunately, the same 6 teams, except I'm taking Seattle over Houston to win the division. Oh,
I would love to see that. I'm going to pick Baltimore in the World Series.
As do I.
Okay. And nationally, I have a feeling we're going to pick the same. Well, no.
No, because I have the Dodgers. You have the Braves.
You got the Dodgers. I got Atlanta, right? I got Atlanta winning the whole thing. I got the Dodgers, the Giants, and the Diamondbacks in the playoffs from the West. I got Cincinnati winning. I got Philly and Atlanta in the East, and I have Atlanta making the World Series. So it's Atlanta over Baltimore in the World Series.
I'll take the Dodgers, the Padres, and the Diamondbacks for the West. I'll take the Reds in the Central. I'll take Philly and Atlanta in the East. I'll take the Dodgers over the Orioles.
Who are you thinking is pitching for those San Diego Padres?
I have no idea, but it seems like kind of look, they have no depth. I get it. But everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong last year for them.
That's true.
But I just feel they're going to be a little bit under the radar.
And they lost everybody else. So I mean, that's where I was going with this, is that they lost Blake Snell, right? They lost the majority of
I get it. They lost Soto. I understand. But I call it's the Ewing theory.
Well, it may be a multiple Ewing theory, given that. Okay, American League MVP. I'm good. I can't do it. I can't. I want to do it. I want to do Bobby Witt, but if they don't win the division, I can't do it. So I will go Corey Seager with the Rangers making No, I'm going to go Julio Rodriguez. Make the play.
Damn it. Okay. Then I'll switch my pick.
Okay.
I was going to go with Julio Rodriguez. I will go with, even though I have them as the first team out of the playoffs, I'll go with Vlad. I think he's got to bounce back here.
Okay. As far as Cy Young Award winner, I will go with Pablo Lopez of Minnesota.
Okay.
Do you know anybody in the American?
He's the only pitcher I know on Minnesota. I will go. This is funny. I'm taking the MVP and the Cy Young are from a team that doesn't make the playoffs. I'll take
Gossman. Okay. Rookie of the year, Jackson Holiday.
I'll take Langford.
Okay. Well, he's starting the year, so that may be helpful. In the National League, I think Acuna goes back-to-back, or it's Austin Riley. It's one of those two guys.
I'm going to go Mookie.
Thank God you're not going Ohtani. I don't think Ohtani could win it, being just a DH.
I don't think so either.
And especially with the backlash from this betting thing, I think he's off the board. Your Cy Young Award winner it will be Zach Wheeler from Philadelphia.
I'll go with striker from Atlanta. Excuse me.
And I'm going to go with Jackson Merrill of San Diego for the Rookie of the Year, and you have no idea who that is.
I don't. I'll go with the $300 million rookie from the Dodgers, whose ERA so far is 10.
Oh, Yamamoto?
Yoshinobu
Yamamoto. Okay. So look at that. We got through a baseball preview in like a half hour
or about a third as long as it would take us to go through an NFL draft.
That's right. Yes, sir. Which is in a month from today.
It is.
Yeah, I am anticipating it, and I love the thought of the Giants trading up to go get JJ McCarthy. As I'm seeing that,
I hate you so much.
I'm seeing that more and more every single day.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, I don't think.
I honestly don't think it's going to happen.
Well, neither do I. I mean, look, I talk about it, but I see Minnesota trading up. It's just
trading up. Denver has nothing to trade because they would try and trade up. But realistically, you still have $40 million on your quarterback who you still given no help to. I don't see it. I think it would be ludicrous.
Denver does have stuff to trade. They can trade their 12 this year.
And what? The next 2 years of picks?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Look.
Would you trade a 3 first round for JJ McCarthy?
I wouldn't trade that for any player. First rounders are the currency in the NFL.
Oh, look, Arizona's got the world by the balls on this one. Except honestly, New England does, because to me, it's you have your top three and then you have everybody else. And it's a question: does New England, because they have a bridge in Brissett that they can keep for a year or two. And if they want to really get a ransom out there, they can do it.
Right, but what's a ransom? Even if it's Minnesota, it's 12, 21 in next year's first. Is that a ransom?
That's not enough.
Right.
I don't know. I don't.
Is there a team
Denver 1-2 and Surtain? I mean,
Surtain's not going anywhere.
You're asking what it would take to get there.
Right, but
I think you have to throw a player in there too.
But my point is, if you're saying
Caitlin Clark being offered $5 million.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, that was giving you that last 5 minutes. $5 million.
Because you damn well know that Zach Edey, who's going to win National Player of the Year, ain't getting $5 million to play in the 3-on-3.
You know what? Kudos to Ice Cube. Seriously, because
today was a good day. Yeah,
he has said numerous times, I wanted to get the NBA involved in this 3-on-3 tournament. And you know what? 3-on-3 is now an Olympic sport. So if you can get Caitlin Clark into your 3-on-3 tournament, which very few people know even exists, everybody in Iowa will watch it.
There you go.
So, all right. That's Seth Kamens. I'm Sean Palmer. We got to go. We'll see you guys next week. Have a good week.
Have a good one.
See you.
Bye.